Afternoon. Good afternoon. Game week. Pretty excited about this against a somewhat familiar opponent. When we played them 2 years ago. Not sure there's many guys on the team from that, but we kind of know their style of play. Coach has been there for the last 20 years. And fun fact, I was told he was my first offer. So that's that.
You mentioned, not a whole lot of familiarity. Does it help at all knowing that their quarterback and offensive coordinator were just recently at New Mexico together?
Yeah, because that gives us a little bit of film that we can watch. So it's a different team, but you can kind of get the scheme down and see how he plays as a player. Very dynamic, uses legs, uses his arm, good player, and just looking forward to this Saturday.
Was that Coach Miller or one of your parents who told you that it was your first offer?
So it was actually his old running back coach, Q. So Quinn told me that Coach told him that he was my first offer.
Do you consider that?
I believe it was for defense.
Oh.
So yeah, this was probably like my sophomore year, so it was for defense. Yeah, it was for defense.
5 days out from the opener, how would you kind of assess the team's readiness right now?
Just from the way they looked this morning, they were pretty locked in. I just think that they're ready for another opponent. It's been a long road just going against each other, and tempers are getting up there, and guys are finally ready to really get to go against somebody else. So this is it's a good time that it's finally gotten here.
You said back in Costa Mesa you felt like you probably had your starting offensive line identified. Are there any positions in that group that are up for grabs at this point?
We want to keep them competing still, so let's say yes, there's still some up for grabs, but I think I have a pretty good grasp of who's starting and who's not.
You're going to release a depth chart before the game?
Yes, most definitely we will.
Do you know when?
Soon.
Okay.
But you will get it. It won't be the day of. You'll get it soon.
Utah's defense has always been its calling card, and every season that's kind of like what's gotten the team going. So how do you kind of attack a defense knowing that it's always consistently a stout defense?
You just know that this is a team that's not going to beat themselves. They kind of take on coach's personality. Hard-nosed team, going to work hard, and I think they were probably one of the least penalized teams last season. So we got to make sure that we're not in there beating ourselves and continue to just execute, and things should go in our way.
How does your running back depth on this team compare to the teams you've had or teams you've been around at UCLA?
Oh, this is probably the most depth that we've had. Because I think I can go about 4 deep and still feel comfortable about what's going on. And that's no knock to the other guys. Some of those other guys just don't have experience, but they can go also too. So it's probably one of our deepest running back rooms we've had in a few years.
And after watching Tino's run game for all of camp, how would you describe what we're going to see in that aspect of the game on Saturday?
Just a balanced attack. I just want to be balanced. We have a good quarterback, so we don't want just everybody dropping 8 on us and stuff like that. We got to be able to establish the run, and I think that Tino's done a good job of building the confidence in the O-line and in the running backs, and that everybody's feeling good going into game week.
The rushing attack was also one of the struggles last season, and I know you probably took that to heart. And so talking with Coach Sinceri, how much did you emphasize, hey, I want my running backs to succeed?
By putting some guys in that room, so he has some talent to want to give them the ball. But that was just part of the interview process, talking to people that I interview guys that I want to run the rock. I still want to pass the ball. I want to be balanced. I want to be pro style, and Tino just checked all the boxes.
A guy like Anthony Woods, played, was at Utah for a year. So for him, first of all, how have you seen him kind of develop since getting back from his injury and throughout the fall? And then secondly, to play against a team that he was with for a while, what have you seen from him in preparation for this game?
He's excited, just because he's back. He wasn't able to participate the way that he wanted to last season just because of his injury. And the fact that he's worked so hard and where he's at right now is amazing. So he had a great training camp. Didn't really do much in spring, but this training camp he was really able to put his best foot forward and let us know that he's a back that we can count on. So he is in that depth of the 4 guys that I was naming.
Who have been the most consistent pass rush guys for you in camp?
Well, Gary for sure. Gary, Keanu, I would say Ciale with the D tackles, edges, Anthony Jones, Keyshawn, and my youngsters are really good, and Scott Taylor and Juju.
How optimistic are you this year that you can kind of get home with maybe 4, not having to send those extra numbers?
I feel confident. You know, I feel good about it. They have a really good O-line, so we're going against probably one of the top O-lines in the country right now, just in ability and seniors, you know. So I think these guys got their hands full, and they're looking forward to this challenge because, you know, if you can step up and play against these guys, we should be able to play against anybody.
How much did Saturday help with getting the guys ready for what it's like, you know, getting to the Rose Bowl, kind of getting them through the, you know, what goes on into typical game day?
Yeah, it was, you kind of wanted the game day not to be the first time that they were going through all of this. And some guys, this is their first time being in the Rose Bowl, you know, so even coaches too. So it was just exciting just to get out there and do a little bit in front of the fans and try not to be too strenuous because I knew what kind of week we're about to have this week and I really wanted to get after them this week. So it was just good that they were able to get that out of the way, flush it, and now we can get going.
What type of environment are you expecting on the Rose Bowl on Saturday?
No matter what we see out there, it's going to be fired up. So I think our team's going to be ready to go, and I think our fans are ready to see us.
What's impressed you most about Nico away from the field?
Just his presence, you know, has a calm demeanor to himself and just a leader. He has an aura around him that you can kind of like, okay, he has confidence and stuff. So
The season opener, obviously, it's one of those games where you get the benefit of looking ahead to that a little bit earlier than other games on the schedule. When did you maybe start diving into Utah, and when did the players start getting disseminated that information?
we probably dove into it probably like week 2 of training camp, and then the players got it last week. You know, so we were able to give them 2 weeks of when we told them that, but there was some stuff sprinkled in before that. But 2 weeks before we really like broke it down into a real game plan for them.
How much does the game day change when it's such a late start? You have so much time on your hands. Like, how much more will you do or not do, given where the kickoff is?
It's a tough thing, you know, just playing that late at night. But if they want to play big time ball on Sunday, then Monday night games, Sunday night games, it's the same thing. So they got to get used to being able to get ready to play no matter what the time is. But, you know, we're going to make sure that they get enough rest and their body clocks don't start till a later time, just so, you know, when 10 o'clock comes, you're not sleepy, you're still ready to go.
And you talked about tempers getting a little high, kind of normal, but how much do you kind of want to see that in your program from week to week? Shouldn't you guys be close to kind of fighting if things are going the right way?
I tell them all the time, like, you just got to get right to that edge and be able to turn around and come back, you know? So push it right to the edge. But that's what competition is. So they've had a lot of opportunity now that there's competition, that we're able to bring some competition in certain positions and let guys compete. And that's when you get the chippy stuff happening. But as long as people aren't taking it into the locker room, we're good to go. And none of that has spilled over into that.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate y'all.